7:40 right now, 53 degrees outside, and we'll go to the phone line.
And we are happy this morning to welcome Bob Baldwin and his friend and fellow outdoorsman Jay Ledbetter to the program. They are with us this morning. Both of them are expert bow hunters, and they are also authors. And their new book is titled Proper Care and Feeding of a Hunting Buddy. Good morning, gentlemen.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank y'all for being with us this morning. So bow hunting just opened, and I think deer season bow hunting for deer just opened in Texas. And I understand that one of you, Jay, you have the Buffalo Mountain Ranch here in Texas.
Yeah, just up the road, close to Abilene.
Okay, there you go. Well, so what are some top tips that you guys can share with our listeners about being safe when you're hunting?
Bob is the smartest guy I know on safety. Bob?
Yeah, that's a lie, but that's okay. But you know, we'll deal with that. So really, one of the most safety issues that you can deal with is make certain that you're not hunting alone. Right? All kinds of things can happen out in the wild. Jay and I are hunting buddies, and we've written a bunch of humorous stories about our adventures. But the seriousness of hunting is that lots and lots of things can go wrong when you're out in the field, whether you're bow hunting, whether you're gun hunting, climbing into a tree or falling out of a tree stand. Safety is a primary concern, so make certain that you're hunting with someone, and or at the very least that people know where you are when you're out hunting, so in case something does happen, they can find you if that's necessary.
Well, why don't you share with us one of the funny stories that you've been hunting forever together. So what's one of the funny stories that you have to share with us?
Well, so let's tie it to safety. So everybody knows that if you're out bird hunting, whether you're pheasant hunting or quail hunting or chukar hunting or something, you come to a fence. You don't cross the fence with your gun in your hand, right? So what you do is you get to that fence, you hand the gun off to your hunting buddy, right? And then you cross the fence. And Jay, tell us how that fence went.
That was probably the most memorable fence crossing I've ever had. What was happening is that Bob and I were chasing some quail, and you flush them, you shoot, and then you chase. And so we had chased them up in from one pasture to another. And there was this barbed wire, a 3-wire fence, not a big fence, but it was separating a couple of pastures. And we were in a hurry, and that fence was all choked with weeds and brush. And we found a spot that looked pretty clear, so I rush up there and I hand my shotgun to Bob. And see, Bob, he wasn't observant enough because a hunting buddy will watch out for you. But Bob didn't check as closely as he might should have, and he missed that really smooth wire held just on the other side of the top of that fence on those insulators. He didn't see that, and he neglected to tell me. Well, as it turns out, electricity loves to try and get to the ground, and it found a really convenient pathway down my right leg, and. So I was doing a sort of an impromptu kind of a dance, lots of gyrations going on there, and that's where I think speaking in tongues came from right there too. I invented a few languages that you could only scream. You can't really pronounce those words. And then I finally got off of that wire. And my hunting pants were ripped, and Bob said that he didn't enjoy hunting so much after that because he didn't really he had to be upwind because the smell of fresh urine was not all that pleasing to him.
Yeah, and what Jay doesn't tell you is that I wasn't as unobservant as he thought I was, but your hunting buddy doesn't need to know everything,
Well, when Bob got a dry erase board out and started putting a big number on there, he did give me a 9.5.
Well, the dismount was pretty good, Jay. I mean, you did a cartwheel and stuff, and it was pretty good. Yep.
Yeah, and I did the whole thing while I was dancing. So there.
That does sound like a problem. I went through a gate once on an old sorry fence, and the gate wouldn't open and wasn't paying attention. But I was by myself, so I reached through and put my gun on the fence, leaned it up here so it wouldn't fall and hit the ground. Tried to work my way through this gate and didn't see that smooth wire across the two posts and touched my ear to it.
Oh!
And honestly, for a split second, I thought I'd shot myself in the head.
Dear Lord. You know, I feel like the CIA is really missing out on a really important way to get confessions out of people. But
so the neat thing about our stories, right, is that, and by the way, I don't know if any of you have ever read Pat McManus stories. You know, Pat McManus used to write in Outdoor Life. We've kind of patterned our stories after Pat McManus's genre. And what I like to say is every one of our stories, and we've got 30 of them written, our first book has got 6 of them in there, but every one of our stories has a kernel of truth to it. In other words, something in our many years of hunting together triggered the creation of this story. And sometimes it's a really small kernel, right? But there's a kernel of truth in every one of our stories. And by the way, I want you to know, I would never exaggerate or expand upon, the story at all. But Jay's a lawyer, and that's kind of what they do for a living, So it's not my fault, right? So,
well, and see,
no, we don't feel so bad now knowing that a lawyer hit a hot fence.
Oh Lord of mercy.
How did you get out of that situation? I mean,
well, first of all, I had to apply to medical school.
Okay.
That was the first step in trying to get out of that mess. But at any rate, Bob forgets to tell you that the most funny stories that we have, and they're all kind of funny. Bob laughs a lot once he stops crying. But the funniest part of the story is actually the most true. One of those stories is so true. It every time I read it, I have to kind of wipe my brow and go, man alive, I wish I'd not had to do all that.
That's absolutely the truth. I mean, some of those stories, some of those things that happened to us. And look, that's the nice thing about having a hunting buddy, right? Having a hunting buddy that you can share times with and explore things, and everybody that's ever done any hunting or fishing, right, realizes that having somebody to share it with is enhances the fun by a significant amount, and even when you're missing the pheasants or the quail or whatever it is you're hunting, you can at least poke each other in the side, laughing about how they missed that particular bird or something like that. So.
Well, the title of your book is Proper Care and Feeding of a Hunting Buddy. Now, how important is feeding your hunting buddy to the whole process?
All right, Bob. Here you go.
Well, so one of the first times that we hunted together, we were hunting elk in Colorado. And we'd been seeing elk at the very, in the very high elevations. And we'd try to get above them to hunt them in the morning. And we're bow hunting, of course. So we're, it's tough to get, you got to get within 40, 50 yards to shoot an elk, right? And we kept running into the fact that they were always above us. We could never get above them to get a shot at them. So we decided one day that we would set up a spike camp. We'd climb up the mountain, set up a spike camp way up there at 11,000 feet. So we'd be above them when morning broke, and we'd be right there. We're in amongst them. So we decided that we would put this spike camp up. Well, unbeknownst to me, I kind of trusted Jay, and we were packing up and getting ready to go, and I left my backpack, unsupervised in his presence. And Jay was packing the packs, including, by the way, all the stuff we needed to eat, the proper care and feeding of a hunting buddy, right?
Right.
So it wasn't until I got about 100 yards up the mountain that I realized that I was carrying about 800 pounds of pack, and Jay was just kind of moseying along with about 20 pounds. Is that about right, Jay?
Well, Bob, he just said he doesn't exaggerate, and now he's went and exaggerated. So the thing is that once you get to know Bob, you'll know this, but Bob has to have the best of everything. Everything I've got, he's got one better, and that's okay, because on this occasion, he had the bigger backpack, and boy, did he have a nice one. Ooh, man, I can't, his backpack would have, I've lived in houses littler than that, and he lays it down there, and the tent will fit in one backpack only. It won't fit him two. Mine was just too little. And so, and all those cans of food would fit in his and not necessarily mine. And I carried heavy stuff. Bob, I carried heavy stuff, and
you had the feather pillow, as I recall. Yeah, you had the feather pillow. Yeah.
Well, not all of it, no. But as it turned out that here's another safety hint. If you're going up the mountain on a spike camp, and your hunting buddy starts complaining about the heaviness of his pack, thinking, wrongfully of course, that his pack is heavier, then what you got to do is at the first rest stop, you make sure that you put your pack down well away from him, because what he's going to do, and you can see it coming, he will reach over there and he's going to do kind of a lift. He's going to lift yours in one hand and his in the other, and he's kind of going to do an uppy downy with each one, and he's going to do an assessment, and he'll be wrong. He will be wrong, because there's an axiom that we all know that applies to this situation about backpacks. And Bob, you remember the axiom, don't you?
Yeah, it's something you called Crockett's axiom, right? I don't know what Crockett's axiom is. I think that's a totally made up.
No. What Bob Crockett's axiom, and we all know that except for Bob, is that on any backpacking trip, your hunting buddy's backpack will always seem lighter than the one you're carrying. It's just kind of it's human nature. It's what we do. So just to avoid any further complaining, and Bob has the ability to, even in thin air, that boy can get enough air in to complain, for a couple of 1,000 feet of vertical climb. And so so what I had to do was I learned, put your backpack a well distance, because he's going to make an excuse. He'll say, "Oh, look, I can't see that flower there as well as I want to under your back," and he'll move it, and then he'll go oof or some silly thing like that, and then we're off to the races, and he'll come, and if your backpack seems lighter, well, or actually maybe if you're stronger and better fit and better shape, you can climb the mountain faster than him. Which gives you two advantages. First of all, you haven't got to listen to the complaining nearly so bad, and then second of all, you get to breathe up all the available air before he gets there.
Well, you were breathing up all the oxygen before I could get there, and the proper care and feeding of a hunting buddy came about because not only did I have the heavier pack, but when we got up there, and Jay had packed it, by the way, we got up there and we didn't have any can opener for the cans of stew. We didn't have cups for the tea. We didn't have any sugar for the tea. And you know what? We hadn't planned on taking anything to eat with like eggs or pancakes, but I was carrying a 15-pound stainless steel spatula in my backpack. Now, there you go.
Well, now we did use the spatula because I found a use for it. Because we did, well... Okay, so...
Yeah, you forgot the crackers, too, so we had to substitute crackers for...
Yeah, what we didn't have was... I forgot everything, it seems. and so I didn't bring crackers for our stew, but I'd had some trail mix, and we picked out a bunch of cashews and threw that in there, and that actually makes some pretty good stew, by the way. But I was able to carefully balance a cashew on the front left corner of that spatula and tip it over into the pan. And that way, Bob, I demonstrated to him, not to his satisfaction, but I at least demonstrated that I had a use for that spatula.
Now, how long have you guys been hunting together?
Well, hunting is kind of it depends on how you define the term, because what Jay and I do mostly is carry very expensive archery equipment into the woods and have ever occasional moments of sheer adrenaline rush. And we're not real good at taking game, but we have a lot of fun. So we've been doing this for over 20 years, I think, Jay. We've hunted in Canada and Alberta and Ontario and Texas and Colorado and Montana. We've been hunting and chasing things for a whole bunch of years together.
Yeah, and the good news is that just for the folks that might be more concerned about the animals than they ought to be, we have been able to. Our meat processing bill is a round number. It's so far been zero because we have not found it necessary to actually take any game. So really, I don't know if you call that hunting. We call it walking in the woods with heavy equipment. Not heavy, but it gets heavier. But with expensive hunting equipment, and we've got a lot of miles on our bows and arrows. Yes, but not a lot of blood. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and once again, there's that little exaggeration. I can't tell you that we've never taken any animals, but we don't. Our stories are not about taking the animals. It's about the time that we enjoy, the fun that we have, and just enjoying the outdoors and being together and laughing and making jokes. And I told you we patterned our stories after Pat McManus. We used to sit around and read Pat McManus stories while we were cooking dinner or doing dishes and stuff like that. And Jay looked at me one time and he said, "You know, Bob," he said, "some of the things that you do remind me of Pat McManus's escapades. I think we ought to chronicle our own hunts." And that's what got us started.
Well, we've been talking this morning, and so it's been a pleasure to speak with Bob Baldwin and Jay Ledbetter. The book is Proper Care and Feeding of a Hunting Buddy. And where can our listeners find the book, guys, and where can they find you?
You can find our book if you go to Amazon.com. Or Barnes & Noble. You can order our books on either one of those. And once again, the name of the book is The Proper Care and Feeding of a Hunting Buddy. We also have a website called bobandjay.com, and we have a YouTube subscription page for YouTube, and it's just Bob and Jay, and you can see we've done a number of videos, and we've got some short clips from some of our other radio or podcasts and things like that. We're also interested in maybe doing some skits and stuff for church banquet groups or hunting groups and things like that. So we're interested in just kind of sharing our humor and our enjoyment of each other, and you can find us in any one of those efforts.
Bob Baldwin, Jay Ledbetter, thank you guys so much for being with us today.
I loved it. Take care.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.